Top 4 reasons why the GoPro 13 is actually a better camera for the average user than the Dji Osmo Action 5 Pro. The No Fake channel, checking in. Jonathan here to talk and compare about the GoPro 13 to the Action 5 Pro. Now, full disclosure, full honesty, full transparency, I bought these both myself out of my own pocket. So if you want an honest review, here it is. Now, for those of you not familiar, I have been doing YouTube for 7 years now as a hobby, and by no means am I a professional, and by no means do I get paid to make professional content, but I do like and enjoy making YouTube videos. And one of the reasons I love my action cameras is that you can stick them anywhere. There's tons of great mounts, magnetic and otherwise, that you can just mount this to a car, mount it inside your home against some metal. You can mount this thing anywhere, and the wide field of view makes it ultra easy to make sure you're always in the shot. And then if you go vlogging, even better, because you can see yourself right on camera, and the stability of these things is just phenomenal. They've certainly improved greatly since I got my first GoPro 5. Now this year we saw the release of a number of great action cameras, the Action 5 Pro as well as the GoPro 13. And when these things got released, everybody was telling how great this Action 5 Pro was. And the reality is they were mostly paid for reviews.
Sale is made on every call you make. Either you sell the client some stock, or he sells you on a reason he can't.
When this thing got released, it had a number of bugs and the bitrate was exceptionally low. In fact, when this thing got released, the bitrate was so low in order to conserve battery, it actually provided worse footage than the previous year's model, the Action 4. For those of you not familiar, I have been doing YouTube for 7 years now, and it is a hobby. I am by no means a professional. I do some editing and some basic color correction, but usually I want everything that comes out of my camera to be as is. Or the hassle, and in most cases I don't have the experience to color correct all of the footage. The sad part is when you go on to the Dji website or even the GoPro, you're gonna see these amazing sizzle reels with beautiful colors and images and stabilization. And truth be told, that took painstaking hours and hours of color correction by a team of individuals who has a full-time job to do that and are exceptionally professional. They know exactly what they're doing. Just to eke out a few of those frames, I'm sure it took them hours. So the idea that you're gonna get these cameras, shoot the same footage and get the same quality is unrealistic.
Not that guy, pal, trust me. You're not that guy.
So that's why I think a lot of the stuff that you see in terms of ads is just a bait and switch. I will say these cameras do produce great footage, but you're never gonna get a professional, amazing sizzle reel out of these unless you've got the experience and are willing to put in the time. So my first major reason why I prefer the GoPro 13 is the color profile. The second reason I prefer the GoPro 13 is the field of view. The Action 5 has standard D-warp, which is similar to a linear mode. It's got wide and it's got ultra wide, and it works. Unfortunately, when you put it into linear mode, you do get what I feel like is a lot of fisheye, especially at the edges. This camera also has a linear mode, a wide, and an ultra wide. I have found that in this, the linear mode is much more even. There's a lot less of a fisheye effect, and it's especially noticeable when you shoot vertical. Most of us are shooting vertical for social media, or just sometimes that's the shot to get because it makes the most sense based on positioning. And when you do shoot vertical, you are gonna notice a much more significant fisheye when you're in linear than the GoPro 13. And again, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I want the footage coming out of here to be ready to post as soon as I get it on my camera or I'm able to upload it. The third reason has to be the 5K. So this shoots in 4K, this shoots up to 5.3K. Now we all know 5 is better than 4, but in truth, it's not necessarily a much better image than the 4K, especially for those of you looking on your phone. But if you're like me and you are a one-man show, you're setting up your camera and you're trying to make sure everything's in frame, oftentimes you'll find that your further away than you want, or maybe the cropping just isn't correct or you're off a little bit. With that 5.3K, you've got a little bit of extra wiggle room, so you can zoom in and move that image over just a little bit in your video in order to better frame the photo, but you're still going to keep that 5K footage. Whereas with the Action 5, if you were to zoom in or shift it over a little bit, you're going to find that you're going to lose quality as you go in. And the fourth and final reason that I prefer the GoPro 13 over the Action 5 has to be the slow-mo options. Now, the DG can shoot 120 frames per second in 4K, and that's good. For most people, that's fine. But I like the fact that you can go higher with the GoPro 13, especially when you're really trying to slow something down. I find that it's just something I use more often, and I prefer to have the higher speed just to be able to work with it a little bit easier. They also have this year burst mode, which allows you to shoot an ultra fast mode for a short period of time, simply basically overclocking the processor while they shoot that. And it's not usable in many situations because the time frame is so short, but every once in a while there will be a shot that I can set up, prepare, hit the record button, do the action that I'm looking to get done, and boom, Bob's your uncle, I've got the footage. One main thing that the GoPro has over the DJI Action 5 is that it has a higher bitrate, both when you get it out of the box and if you want to use GoPro Labs, you can actually modify this and almost overclock it to get an even higher bitrate. I personally think that leads to a higher quality image, especially when you are outside and you got full sun or full daylight. You will find that this image is just going to be better than this one, both in quality and, in my personal opinion, in color as well. Now, if you get either of these, you are going to be in good hands. They've come a long way with action cameras, and these two are exceptional, highly functional, a massive amount of versatility in a relatively small package. Now, when the Action 5 came out, it did have a lot of issues, in part because I think they rushed it out the door. One thing that they were doing was keeping the bitrate exceptionally low in order to save battery life. Since then, since the release, they've done at least 2 patches, fixing the bitrate, fixing a lot of the bugs. And while the bitrate still does not compare to the GoPro, it is much more improved, so much so that you really won't notice a big difference between the two in terms of the bitrate out of the box. Overall, I think this camera tends to be a bit more user-friendly because of some of the features and the interface. But if you are looking for a better shot and you are looking for great footage out of the camera, depending on your situation, whether you want to go with vibrant or just natural lighting, I think the GoPro is the way to go. And diving a little bit deeper into the rabbit hole, you can get GoPro Labs, which allows you to do a little bit of extra customization on this camera in terms of the software, so you can push up the bitrate and do a few other fun things that just make your footage that much better. The prices on both of these have fluctuated significantly since their release in September. I'm going to put links in the description. They are affiliate links. They will tell you what the price points are as of today, helping you decide which one might be the better one to purchase at the time you're watching today's video. And that does help support the channel and pay for the fact that I paid for these myself and I didn't actually get them free from the company like so many of the fake reviews out there. Another thing that's great for you and absolutely free, these 2 videos. Give them a watch. As usual, thanks for watching, and don't save anything for the trip back.